In association with Official Wrestling comes A Few Good Marks podcast. Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the 50th episode of A Few Good Marks. Woo! Yeah, baby! I'm going to try something new. It's 50th episode. This could go horribly wrong, but let's try it anyway. So, I am the host who likes to boast, Kieran Moran. Joining me is the man who spends a lot of time on the can. It's Croft! Hey! Also joining me is the guy who spits lines on the fly, Candy! Hey! It's the girlie who always sends us whirly, it's Alex! Hey! And it's the critter who fell asleep on the shitter, Willow! So, today, as you will have seen, we are doing our top 10 wrestlers redo.
Because we loved it so much. You didn't listen, but we loved it.
Yeah, we love doing it, so we're going to redo it for... and also, like, this time around, we have added in some guidelines as to avoid certain people being included in the top 10 of all time! Craft!
This is just a case against Shalom Benjamin.
Yeah, it is.
I'm going to add her as my number one.
So, just to run down the criteria as to which we've chosen our top 10s this time. So, on in-ring ability, this goes down as either how skilled the wrestler was at mat-based or technical wrestling or working the crowd. Charisma / mic skills speaks for itself, how good they were on the microphone and cutting promos. Popularity / draw as a wrestler, not a movie star. How popular was the wrestler and how big of a draw were they? Accolades and achievements, how successful were they in their career? Put aside those feelings, try to be as impartial as possible. We're deciding the top 10 best, not favourites.
Can I just say something about the biggest draw but not a movie star?
Yes.
Surely that...
It adds to it, but like the points that were made last time were more about The Rock being a movie star, not being a wrestler.
Right, but for example, Batista's not on man, but let's just say that. He's got massive star power because he's fucking big movie star now. Yeah?
I guess it's more like thinking of, like, when you think of Batista, you don't think of him now, you think of, like, 2008, 2009 Batista. So,
yeah, I suppose so.
It's like this, almost the same with The Rock. You think of Attitude Era Rock, not...
Scorpion King.
Right, I think of little Dave Batista, the foster child.
But anyway,
that abandoned storyline.
So we're going to go around and do honourable mentions first, then we're going to do 10 to 8, 7 to 4, and then our top 3. Would anyone like to go first with honourable mentions?
I'll go for honourable mentions.
I think that's kind of like a tradition that you kick us off, really, isn't it? So
my first honourable mention is Alundra Blaze.
Okay.
One of the greatest female wrestlers of all time.
Mm-hmm.
Very popular all around the world.
What?
Like me.
I'd like to see Alundra Blaze on 1,000 Twitter followers.
Very adaptable and influential, especially the whole throwing the championship in the bin thing. Kind of blazed the trail for female wrestlers to come after her.
Alundra blazed the trail.
Indeed she did. Quick rundown of her achievements. She's a 7-time women's champion the world over. 1-time WCW Cruiserweight champion.
Wow.
And she's in the Hall of Fame. So I think she fully deserves at least to be mentioned.
At least be mentioned. Fair play.
I'm going to give you the achievements of this next person.
And we have to guess.
You tell me if this seems like a top 10 of all time worthy achievement list. 1-time World Heavyweight Champion.
Oh, here we go.
3-time WWE Champion. 4-time Raw Tag Team Champion. 1-time SmackDown Tag Team Champion. 2-time United States Champion. King of the Ring, Money in the Bank, and Royal Rumble winner. It's Sheamus. Tell me that's not.
I have got to agree.
Yeah.
When he puts it like that, I have to agree.
All right. His achievements speak for himself.
Yeah.
When you consider the rest of the names that are about to be mentioned,
yeah,
he does not come close.
Except he does in terms of achievements.
Yeah, I agree.
Because he's won the World Heavyweight Championship more times than a lot of the people that are going to be on our top.
Okay,
so that's
one criteria.
Okay.
Mic skills. In-ring skills.
Yeah.
Not watching any Sheamus matches anytime soon.
Oh, I don't know about that. It's fantastic work. What are you talking about?
He is now as part of a tag team. I would watch
been-
him as singles, but
he's been
have you
very
seen
good throughout
when
his
he was
career.
world champion in 2012 and he was facing Alberto Del Rio, and sometimes even Alberto Del Rio. It went on so long, and I was like, I do not give a shit about your in-ring stuff. Maybe because he was facing Alberto Del Rio, it doesn't help.
Think about who you think was the most improved wrestler according to the Wrestling Observer newsletter in 2010, because that was Sheamus.
Okay, well, anyway, he's on your honourable mentions list and
He is on my
therefore
honourable
does
mentions.
not qualify for
The-
top 10.
I'll
Have you got another
concede
honourable
that.
mention?
I do. It's a bit of
Christ,
an
we've got
off.
a top 10 honourable mentions
I
list going
haven't,
on here.
but it's a bit of an off-the-wall one.
Oh, Christ.
I'm going to give you his achievements list.
Oh, my God.
4-time Intercontinental Champion,
Jerry Lynn.
3 times United States Champion, 8-time World Tag Team Champion, and won the Slammy Award for telling me I did not just see that moment of the year in 2012.
Which was?
Kofi Kingston.
Oh, okay, I'll give you Kofi.
This guy has won more championships than anyone on the current roster. Mm-hmm. He's only shy of a world title, which personally I think he's going to win at some point.
I think he's due.
I don't.
Which would make him a Grand Slam. He's won. If you're talking about accomplishments, no one touches Kofi at this moment in time.
Yeah, I agree.
I'll give you that. He's definitely one of the greats of the modern roster.
At tag team wrestling.
Absolutely, he's one of the best tag team wrestlers in a long time, and I think he deserves a spot on the honourable mentions.
He does indeed. Very well played, sir.
Thank you very much.
For the honourable mentions. Candy, your honourable mentions,
I
sir.
didn't make notes for honourable mentions.
Okay,
because
that's
I literally
fine.
just had them at the end. But I've got many-time tag team champion, 14 times I believe.
Okay.
Edge,
Okay. I'll allow it. Yeah, pretty sure I had Edge on my original top 10,
Yeah.
so...
Kurt Angle,
Yeah.
Chris Jericho, Triple H, and Ricky the Dragon Steamboat.
Nice.
Good choices.
Very nice, very nice. Alex, your honourable mentions, please.
So I'm not that prepared. So I've not got like
Shocker.
I don't know. Excuse me. So I don't have like the exact title runs and shit. But first and foremost, pretty similar to why you picked Alundra Blaze, I picked China because 900 of the world. I think she completely at that time changed women's wrestling. Like she wasn't like a woman wrestler, like she was a woman in a man's world. Do you know what I mean? Like at that time, obviously she was very successful. And then for my honourable mentions, I've gone more with current wrestlers, and I've gone with the Young Bucks and Kenny Omega because I think that they've got the charisma. They're obviously, all three of them are very, very talented wrestlers, and I think that they have paved the way in showing aspiring young athletes, a little bit like myself, that WWE isn't necessarily the top place to go. They've done it without doing that, and that I think speaks for itself, to be honest. So that is why they're on my honourable mentions.
Completely agree. Willow.
My first honourable mention is someone who isn't necessarily the most accomplished wrestler, but he is The Rock, Don Morocco.
Oh.
See what I did there?
Three bobs.
Only a Intercontinental Champion, ECW Champion, but I think in terms of everything else, he was a really good promo and a really good wrestler, and he was one of those guys who sort of made the other guy look really good, and he was a really good shit talker, and really good, solid in the ring. Everyone knows about his feud with Jimmy Snuka, made Jimmy Snuka like a big star in the early 80s, and I just thought he deserves more praise than he's given.
Fair play.
My other honourable mention is one that you may be surprised isn't on my top 10. Is Superstar Billy Graham.
Oh, no way!
Yeah, everyone knows that he's my favourite wrestler of all time.
Yeah,
so
man. That's, I mean, yeah, man, you have
criterion.
put those feelings to the side.
Yeah,
Both of you have, to be fair.
But yeah, everyone knows, blueprints of, all sorts of Hulk Hogan's,
Entire run.
Steiner,
Yeah.
Rick Steiner, Scott Steiner,
Nah.
blah blah blah, way ahead of his time.
Superstar
Pete
Billy
Bruno,
Graham with the head mask.
The dog face gremlin.
dog face gremlin. Yeah, really good promo. Just a shit wrestler, really. But everything else, he's basically the opposite of Don Morocco.
Yeah, fair play. My honourable mentions these are gonna cause quite a stir because they're not on my top 10, but they will no doubt be on other people's top 10s. But my first honourable mention is Triple H. Obviously he speaks for himself. He's like won 15,
14-time world champion, brother.
Yeah, he's a ridiculous amount of world titles. Incredibly accomplished tag team wrestler as well. Intercontinental title runs all along the way, and is the successor to Vince McMahon.
But my God, was he shit as Hunter Hearst Helmsley?
Oh, wasn't he just?
Connecticut Blue Blood.
In which we'll tell you about, and another one in my honourable mentions, The Rock. Dwayne Johnson, The Rock, in honourable mentions doesn't make my top 10, but he did have to. Given what was mentioned, actually, you know what? Considering he's also not in my top 10, I will also give an honourable mention to Sting.
Sting is also not in my top 10, and I have no time for the Sting.
I had to give a mention to Sting because he's not in my top 10.
The Rock gang all the way.
But yeah.
He's just not quite as good as The Rock is.
So
He's not.
moving on to the top 10 wrestlers list. So how we're going to do this, we're going to share our top 10 lists in 3 sort of sections, and then we're all going to pitch together and try and create our definitive top 10 of all time list. Pete hasn't sent me his over. He said he would, but there we go. So
Unbelievable.
So Candy and Croft have ordered theirs. Me, Alex, and Willow haven't.
I
But I think we kind of know what order it's going in anyway. So, Croft, can we have 10, 9, and 8?
Certainly can. Would you like me to give you a bit of a reason as to why I've put them in that order?
Of course.
I would love one, Croft.
Fantastic. Number 10, who was number 2 on my personal list, was Kurt Angle. One of the best technical wrestlers of all time. Extremely charismatic, very easily adaptable with a really long and storied career. And you only need to look back at his Attitude Era work to know he really knew how to work the crowd. Very accomplished both in WWE and TNA, as well as an Olympic gold medalist. When it comes to real life wrestling pedigree, no one comes close to Kurt Angle.
No, without a doubt.
Multiple time world champion, he's in the Hall of Fame in both WWE and TNA, and he's got really widespread appeal, so that's why he's on my list.
Fair play, can't argue with Kurt Angle being in the top 10 list at all.
Number 9, I've got Triple H.
Okay.
Huge draw in every era he's wrestled in, aside from his early career. One of the most hated heels and most beloved faces throughout his career, and extremely successful. 14-time world champion, King of the Ring winner, 3-time tag champion, 5-time Intercontinental champion, won the Royal Rumble twice, and won Best Hair 1997.
And squashed Taz on SmackDown.
Absolutely. Quick fact about Triple H.
Wait, who was giving out Best Hairs? Was that Wrestling Observer, PWI, or was it a slamming?
I'm pretty sure that was a slam. Quick fact about Triple H.
Go on.
Vince McMahon, when he first saw him, thought he'd be a mid-carder at best.
No way.
Really? And the main reason for that was his hair. Vince McMahon really didn't like his hair.
But then he saw his human growth hormone effects and he was like, yeah, you are main event in WrestleMania, mate.
Absolutely.
And while you're out, have my daughter.
Offered like a stand-up guy.
Offered up on a silver platter. And your number 8.
My number 8 is Sting. Arguably the biggest long-term success story outside of WWE. Though his drawing power is disputed by some, but not so much by his fellow wrestlers, he's very skilled in the ring and consistently over regardless of the role that he was playing. Again, like Kurt Angle, Hall of Fame in both TNA and WWE, 12-time world champion and 4-time tag team champion. So his achievements really
very nice. I'm glad that Sting is on the list as well for a lot of people.
He had to be somewhere, just not above The Rock.
Candy, your 10 to 8, please.
My number 10 is Randy Savage. We talk about in-ring work. He's not known as a great worker, but in terms of character, there are a few that are more flamboyant and have more character than Randy Savage.
Agreed.
With his raspy voice and his bright clothing. But he's held 6 world titles and is the only man from the 80s to have a similar drawing power to Hulk Hogan. He was on that level for a while, so I think that deserves a place. Not high on the list, so he's number 10. Number 9, Bruno Sammartino. I have one note. He held the WWF title for over 11 years. And if that doesn't make you one of the best, I don't really know what does.
Fair play.
And number 8, Bret Hart. He kind of changed the perception of mainstream wrestling in North America, going away from the big Hogan types into the more of the technical wrestling. As a result, he held 7 world titles, main evented 3 WrestleManias, main evented 2 Starcades as well, but not as a wrestler, as like a manager, referee role as well. And 2 King of the Rings, and I didn't know this, he had He is the most combined days as WWF champion during the 1990s.
Wow.
654 days as champion, more than anyone else.
There you go.
Didn't know that.
Very well done. So Alex, 10 to 8.
So,
Z.
you gave us 4 categories of what
Yeah,
to
there
hit.
was
It's like 4 big categories anyway.
Yeah.
Now, I feel like number 1, so whoever's number 1 on my list is going to tick all 4 boxes.
Yeah.
Right? So, I've gone on these 4 boxes,
Mm-hmm.
right? So you need to hear me out because I feel like everyone's going to laugh at this. But
In at number 10.
in at number 10 is Nikki Bella.
Ha!
Ha.
Explain.
Honest, because she is a massive, massive draw for women. I didn't start watching women's wrestling again, I will be honest. I didn't start watching women's wrestling again until Total Divas aired. I started watching it. I know what I'm like. I love Keeping Up with the Kardashians, and I know there's millions of other people who love Keeping Up with the Kardashians. They've got the highest following on Instagram and Twitter and everything. So to then have wrestling, females in wrestling, given their own Keeping Up with the Kardashians style show, drew a lot of women into watching wrestling. Little girls especially, because the mums had it on in the telly. Like my mum watched Total Divas and she's never watched wrestling in her life. She was the longest reigning Divas champion, which is something that none of the other women have had, despite other people's combined title reigns. So yeah, she ticks like 2 of those boxes, and she's actually not that bad in the ring. And Mike's skills could do a little bit more work, but that's why she's number 10.
No, I respect that. Absolutely respect that because
Absolutely. Good
from the reasons that you've given. Because I mean, especially like none of us would have that point of view. Because, as you've kind of.
She's
pointed
definitely
out,
not on my favourite top 10 wrestlers. But she's the biggest draw of women that I think. She's had her own show, Total Bellas. She was with John Cena as well, which was another thing that put her in the limelight. So I don't know. I just think that she's probably one of the biggest followed. She's got two companies of her own. She's just massive outside of wrestling. So
absolutely fair.
number 9, same as Croft, Triple H. Again, achievements speak for itself. Obviously, he is now like the talent scout, if that's what the word we want to use. I don't know how you really best put it. To scout new talent at the moment. I think that again speaks for itself if he's recruiting other wrestlers. And then in at number 8 is Bret Hart for same reasons as Candy. Again, I think he changed it, and obviously with other wrestlers that have come down the line, they all who was into the Hart Foundation or whatever you want to call it, they followed in Bret's footsteps. No one really followed in. I know you had like Owen Hart and obviously like Anvil and everyone and Natalia now, but they've never really lived up to Bret. I feel like he was the top, and he was what you remember, like the big WrestleManias.
Yeah, absolutely.
Aye.
Very good. Willow.
My number 10 is the Iron Sheik.
Hey, Sheik baby.
Sheik baby. Obviously, you can't really talk about drawing power as a champion because he was only champion for like a month. But you can talk about like his charisma and his character. Like he was and probably still is the definitive heel, especially foreign heel. His in-ring work was great.
I know, Jinder Mahal.
Close
second. You know, like if it had scored out of 10, he'd be like 9.99 out of 10. But yeah, obviously his in-ring work was great, very crisp. You sort of crisp. he was like, he did that
Succulent.
Whoa, tangy! Woo!
He knew his judo well. You know, he had that amateur background, Olympian. You know, he did it all.
Yeah, brilliant.
Tag team champion with Nikolai Volkov. Just a really good, you know, in terms of what a heel should be. In my eyes, you know, no one lives up to the Sheik. Number 9, I've got Ravishing Rick Rude.
Ooh, very nice.
Very nice. Similar thing as the Iron Sheik, really. Obviously, you know, he always got heat. He was always over. He was world champion in WCW. He really came into his own actually in WCW, I'd say. In that, you know, he's really given that singles push. You know, we did have the Intercontinental Championship in the WWF, but once he got to WCW, they saw something in him, and he sort of ran with it for a few years.
And he's the only man to simultaneously appear on Raw and Nitro.
Yeah, and I think it was if it wasn't for his career being cut short, he might have been a bit higher up on everyone's list, but you don't know, do you?
You never know. Number 8.
Number 8 is the Stinger.
Hey!
For same reasons that's already been discussed.
Fair enough. It's nice to see, because mine aren't in any particular order, but I'm going to go from bottom up on this list. But it's nice to see Sting and Bret Hart get mentions, and there was somebody at Triple H as well. So it's nice to see there's already a good correlation going on between everyone's lists. All right, so number 10, technically, I guess, I've got AJ Styles.
Okay.
Probably the best in-ring worker in WWE today. Continues to put on phenomenal matches, pun intended. I think nobody ever thought he was going to be able to come to WWE, and the moment that he did was amazing. Even before that, he was Mr. TNA for years. Goes to Japan, wins the IWGP title, then does one more lap around the world, and then goes off to the WWE and debuts in the Royal Rumble as well. Like, so badass. Probably one of the best pops there's been for a while, and he's just absolutely brilliant. In at number 9, sorry Candy, it's Okada. He's just really low on my list. I just assume he's going to be higher up on yours.
I don't know.
Oh my god. I put Okada in just because, just for a bit of variety. But I just think Okada at the moment is and will be considered up there. Like, you could also throw an honorable mention to Tanahashi as well, I guess. But with Okada, like, just taking every single record from him. Okada seems to, they've just got more faith in Okada, and he's just proving that he's just the best.
Can't have a bad match.
Cannot have a bad match. And in at number 8, I have The Undertaker. Consistent. One of the best. Yeah, I was going to say that is quite low, I guess, but it's just, is what it is. Consistently, he had good matches, but never consistently amazing matches, and was never on top. He's won loads of championships, and but has always sort of remained in the shadows. So I guess and his drawing power's always been there as well, and everything's always there. But I just think, considered the star power of others, because he's sacrificed that sacrifices his position further up on the best of all time list.
Fair enough.
Can't take anything away. I mean, you can't take anything away from any of the people that we're mentioning, because they wouldn't even be being mentioned if they weren't up there. So Croft, let's go from 7 to 4.
Cool. In at number 7, possibly the biggest draw of all time, Hulk Hogan.
Oh, a 7. A 7.
Hugely over. Genuine superhero. Especially for fans in the 80s. Never loses his appeal until he's caught using racial slurs. And while he's not the best in the ring, definitely got the job done and been highly successful, and showed he knew how to change up his character when he went to WCW. Possibly the biggest heel turn of the 20th century, I would say. And
Maybe ever.
Maybe ever. And he's just proven himself to be a great person to put in front of the fans time and time again. Again, massively successful, 12-time world champion, 1-time tag team champion, and won the Royal Rumble twice. And you can't do a top 10 list without talking about him.
No, I completely agree.
At number 6, I have The Rock. The most electrifying man in all sports entertainment. Don't you forget it. Worked the crowd like nobody ever has before or since, if you ask me. And still does every time he comes back. It just speaks for itself. Every time he comes back to WWE, he's still getting the same reactions as he used to get, and he's still he's never missed a step. So, yeah, again, top draw, very highly accomplished. 10-time world champion, 2-time IC champion, 5-time tag team champion, Royal Rumble winner, and according to Wrestling Observer newsletter, won the best box office draw 3 years. Once in 2000, once in 2011, and once in 2012.
Fair play.
More than anyone else.
Fair enough. Was that 4?
That was 6.
5
is Ric Flair.
Okay. Wow. That 5
Yeah.
for Flair. Bloody
Yeah.
hell. Okay.
It's Ric Flair.
Okay.
Don't really have to say much else, do I?
No, not really.
It's
Especially when you're putting him that low. Jeez.
But yeah, 16-time world champion, in the Hall of Fame twice.
Yep.
Match of the decade, according to PWI against Michaels at WrestleMania. It's Ric Flair. You don't really need to
Ric
say
Flair.
much else. It all comes down to where you put him, but
It's Ric Flair. And number 4.
number 4, I've got The Undertaker.
Okay.
One of the biggest draws of all time. Solid in the ring. One of the best, if not the best, big man of all time, if you ask me. I don't think anyone touches him in terms of character work, and especially not for that long. One of the longest tenures in the history of WWE, obviously known for being extremely loyal. And nobody really touches him in terms of being universally loved by the fans. You can't find a wrestling fan that hates The Undertaker. The two just don't go hand in hand, if you ask me. The streak is one of the biggest achievements in wrestling. 7-time world champion, 7-time tag champion, Royal Rumble winner. His list of achievements might not be as big as anyone else's, but again, it's The Undertaker. You can't take away from the majesty of his position.
Very, very true. Very, very true. Candy.
Yes.
7 to 4, my good man.
Right, number 7 is John Cena.
Okay.
He's been the face of WWE since he won his first title in WrestleMania 21 in 2005. And if you take it from 2005 to today, 13 years, I've run on top for that long has not been seen for a long time. Like Steve Austin's entire career was 14 years. His run on top was 6, 7 maybe. Like John Cena has doubled Steve Austin's run. Merch seller galore. 16-time world champion, 5 WrestleMania main events, and I don't like him, but there's no denying he doesn't deserve a spot.
He's
On the top 10, number 6 is The Rock.
Hey.
Massively over as a heel, massively over as a babyface. He main evented 4 straight WrestleManias. We said about box office draw. We're talking wrestling or movies, and we're not talking about movies, but that's still a part of what makes The Rock The Rock. So when he comes back, there's more eyes on it because people know who he is.
Yeah.
Who might not even be wrestling fans. Like, Dwayne. I saw him in that Chick Jumanji remake. Hey. And better than Sting. Number 5.
Someone was going to say.
The Undertaker.
Okay.
I'll agree with you. Like, in terms of matches, yeah, he's had some really good ones. He's had some not so good.
We're looking at you, big boss man.
For 4-time world champ. I don't know whether at 4 WrestleManias, he's definitely had more than that. I think that might be main events.
Right.
And also, he has had 101 pay-per-view wins, the most all time. It's like, he's okay. I like The Undertaker, but no one has an aura or a character
Yeah.
or just a sense and feeling like The Undertaker. And number 4 is Hulk Hogan.
Hey.
You know, like I said, known for his babyface run in the 80s, but then had a huge heel turn and worked most of the 90s as a heel as leader of the NWO, the greatest stable / faction.
Yes, they are.
We've
As officially defined by a few good marks.
got
Not
main
as
evented,
Legion of Doom, but you know.
We've decided on this. Shut up.
main evented 8 WrestleManias, more than anyone else. Also main evented 3 Starcades.
Yeah.
He has the longest WCW world title reign and the 3rd longest WWF world title reign. And he's been in films, TV shows, TV adverts, has his own video games, owns 2 restaurants, has his face on energy drinks, a grill, blenders, nutritional products,
I think we get it.
and Hulk Hogan burgers.
You forgot Pastamania?
I said he owns 2 restaurants, one of them is Pastamania.
He really doesn't like black people.
Fuck's sake.
Which is why he doesn't quite crack the top 3.
Was that number 4?
That's number 4.
Alex.
See, I don't even have Hulk Hogan on my list.
You're wrong.
Yeah, you're
Yeah.
wrong. You are wrong, but carry on.
You,
Oh, well.
you substituted Nikki Bella for Hulk Hogan.
yeah.
I did.
My God.
I did.
Yeah.
But oh well.
And she's not even sorry.
And I'm not sorry about it. At number 7, I have Jeff Hardy.
Oh, okay.
Hugely charismatic. Whether he is the babyface that we knew when he was facing the Undertaker, and he had the orange hair, and he was getting picked up, and like just thrown back down by Taker, to when even now, where he still wears the face paint, he's still hugely over with the kids. You ask any wrestler in today's wrestling business, why did you get into wrestling? 9 out of 10 of them will tell you it was Jeff Hardy. I know that's my answer. He's got great in-ring ability, not the best at cutting promos, but he's charismatic, he's a draw for the kids, and the pop he got, sorry Matt, tribute to Matt, honourable mention, whatever, but Jeff Hardy's always been a bigger draw. He's had huge accomplishments behind him. So yeah, number 7, Jeff Hardy.
And who could forget his memorable match at Sting and Victory Road?
Yeah, and as well,
Rock never had a match that bad.
let's not forget the fact he had a match with Sting, one of the biggest icons in wrestling
Really call that a match.
of all time. Fucked off his face on drugs. Beautiful man. And fit. In at number
I seem to remember that match being the worst match of the year.
Shawn Michaels.
Okay.
Again, huge drawing power, excellent in the ring, always excellent. One of the biggest heels of all time. We all know I love to talk about what happened at Survivor Series 97. That was one of the biggest moves in wrestling. People still talk about it now. Me. So yeah, Shawn Michaels, absolutely massive. He was really loved as a babyface and really, really fucking hated as a heel.
Yeah.
In at number 5, I've actually got Chris Jericho. Nice. True workhorse.
Yeah.
Great inside and outside of the WWE. Great heel, great babyface. His accomplishments speak for themselves. He can cut a cracking good promo. He always puts people over, even when it's been putting him. Even when it's been him that's been going over. Like when you watch his matches back, even when he wins, he still puts his opponent over to fuck in those matches. And he's just one of the best of all time as a worker. Really, I think if not one of the best wrestlers, if not the best, actual wrestler, his in-ring ability. And then at number 4, I have The Rock for reasons that have already been mentioned. He was originally a little bit higher, but then I swapped him. So he is there, but he's, again, every time he's out, he just gets a huge pop every time. You can't argue with the pop.
You can't argue with the pop.
Imagine the pop if he came out of a box.
My number is Imagine.
Sting.
Imagine if you had turned up at Bound for Glory in a box.
In a box. Like The Rock at Bound for Glory.
No, Chris Jericho.
Oh, I thought we were supposed to
You were on The Rock?
Yeah.
I think Gaines going to get pinned.
Amazing. Moving swiftly on. Willow.
My number 8 is Ricky the Dragon Steamboat.
You've done number 8.
My number 7.
Number 7, please.
My number
I reckon
7
it's Ricky Steamboat.
is Ricky the Dragon Steamboat.
Oh, who saw that coming?
The definitive babyface, as in, he was always over. He still went at 50 odd years old against Chris Jericho. All throughout the early mid 80s, before he even went to WWF, he was a huge draw for Jim Crockett Promotions in the NWA. Came to WWF, huge draw again, and just all throughout his career, he's always been over. He's always been charismatic, always been loved. He could probably come back and have a match tomorrow, and he'd still be loved. And he was a great in-ring worker. Those deep arm drags. It's just good.
So Jericho said he was the only one when he had that match against the 3 people. He was Steamboat was the only one that could actually still go.
Yeah.
Well, Roddy Piper could never really go anyway, and Jimmy Snuka was probably fucked.
If he didn't have a coconut in hand, he couldn't do anything.
My number 6 is
who's on about not counting now, eh?
Is Hiroshi Tanahashi.
Nice. He did make it onto the list.
Yeah, he did. Just for he's still over now, even though he's not top of the card anymore. He carried New Japan for years. Just a great wrestler, and probably one of the guys that got me into New Japan.
And is still main eventing wrestling.
He is Kerry Von Erich over in New Japan. People bring towels for him to wipe his face, and then he gives them back, and they cry and weep.
He's like a god. He's like a god over in Japan.
Amazing.
I can't really say much about his charisma because I don't know Japanese, but he seems charismatic.
He plays air guitar like no
Plays
one
a
else.
mean air guitar, man.
Plays a mean air guitar. So yeah, just cracking Japanese lad.
Top boy. Go ahead.
Next is The Undertaker for parts unknown and reasons already discussed.
Okay, that was number 5 and number 4.
Number 4 is Bret the Hitman Hart.
Quite high. That's interesting. You've got him higher than everybody else has.
It is, but I mean, you talk about people who are the best of all time. For me, he's one of my top 4 best of all time.
Mm-hmm.
He changed wrestling in the 90s. He single-handedly changed wrestling in the 90s. He's still over now. Everyone still loves him. He's not tarnished his career in any way by coming out of retirement. Ric Flair, Shawn Michaels.
I mean,
Bret Hart, I did have a match.
He did,
against
yeah,
Vince.
actually, yeah. I take that back.
he did win the US Championship.
He won the
Without
US
bumping.
Championship without. He beat The Miz in jean shorts
Yeah, it's only John Cena.
at 50 odd years old.
But if anyone can do it,
It's Bret
It's
Hart.
Bret.
Bret Hart.
Yeah.
Fair enough. So, my number... Here's me, I can't count. Number 7. Shawn Michaels.
Hey.
For reasons discussed. Just a consistent worker. When he went out injured in 97. And then when he came back in 2002, people were like, oh, is he going to be rusty? And then put on a phenomenal match with Triple H. And then went on to win the world title. And then just continue to just have like boss feuds, boss matches, and just top guy. Number 6 is Chris Jericho. Again, for reasons discussed.
Yes.
Just for being one of the most hardworking. If you listen to his podcast on when he did his All In appearance and like the logistics of all that, because he was also playing a show with Fozzy the same night, like 500 miles away in a completely different state. So listening to that was a fascinating read, and it just kind of fascinating read. Listening to that was a good listen, and it just really kind of just like, wow, this guy like took for a fucking 1 minute segment, and he went through all that to give the fans something and to build up suspense for something else. You know what I mean?
It's like, there's no harder working man in wrestling.
No, without doubt.
He
It's
could
just-
have retired
Years
8 years ago
He's
and got in the Hall of Fame.
Absolute G. He's brilliant.
I don't know how he ain't even fucking like got more credit yet.
Yeah,
You know what I mean?
he's just not appreciated in his own time, I don't think, or not appreciated enough in his own time. Number 5, I've got John Cena, again for reasons already mentioned, and undoubtedly good worker. 16-time world champion, has won almost. I'm pretty sure he's won every other accolade apart from. Has he won the
Never
Intercontinental?
won IC title.
Never won the IC, but apart from that, he's won pretty much everything else. And was the face of the company for, as Candy said, for donkey's years. And in at number 4, Kenny Omega. Best bout machine. Kenny Omega has proved in the last couple of years that by putting on the best matches, he is undoubtedly one of the best wrestlers to have ever gone. Dave Meltzer in his WrestleMania
Dave
con,
Meltzer?
in his no, just
How's the
a
starting wrestling
podcast. Dave Meltzer said in his Wrestling Media Con Hall of Fame acceptance speech, said that the industry is now more performance based than ever before, and he could not have been more spot on. That really sort of resonated in with me, and like you only have to see. And we don't go off Dave Meltzer's record, off his star system, his rating system, as a godsend. But somebody wouldn't be given that many great matches. I mean, that many highly recommended matches if they weren't an outstanding performer. On top of that, he is fluent in Japanese and English. Obviously, English is Canadian, and can cut good promos in both. Is supremely over, and as Alex mentioned before, has proved that you don't need the WWE to make it big time.
I think what's interesting with Kenny Omega is that 2 years ago, if we'd done that, no one would have heard of him. and yet now he's come up twice in a top 10 of all time list in like 20 months.
Yeah.
And I think that's the impact he's had on
Yeah, without a
business in the
doubt.
last 2 years.
Without a doubt.
I also
And-
think as well with Kenny Omega, like, and it's the same with the Young Bucks as well, which is why they was on my honourable mentions. So there's a lot of people now who don't watch WWE. They're like, no, I only watch New Japan or I only watch indie shows. If Kenny Omega and the Young Bucks got signed, Kenny Omega especially, WWE would draw bigger.
Without a doubt. That's his power at the moment. With eyes on him off the product, if he was to go,
He's one of the
back
biggest
to
draws
the
for
product.
wrestling fans.
Yes. Not filthy Fed marks like Croft.
Yes.
Who, interestingly enough, nice segue, is now going to give us his top 3 of all time.
Speaking of being a dirty Fed mark, my number 3
Sheamus.
is John Cena.
Okay, understandable.
The 21st century ace of WWE, in my opinion.
Go Ace.
Nobody touches him in terms of success apart from Ric Flair. In terms of world title wins, always polarising regardless of what you think of him. Always gets a reaction, and can truly put on masterpieces in the ring if you're given the opportunity. You only have to look to his Money in the Bank match with CM
Yeah,
Punk.
without a doubt.
True ambassador for the company, especially the stuff he's done for Make-A-Wish. He's got
Yeah.
more Make-A-Wishes than anyone else. He's extremely popular with the children, which is such an important point if you're going to get over with WWE fans. And kind of ushered in a new era that's been more accepting of people who weren't traditionally wrestling fans. And I think that's so important for being considered one of the best. As 16-time world champion, best box office draw of 2007, according to The Observer. 4-time tag champion, 5-time US, 2-time Royal Rumble winner, Money in the Bank winner. He's kind of done it all.
And also was part of like the biggest draw WWE ever had on pay-per-view because of his match with The Rock.
Absolutely.
That was mostly to The Rock.
Yes, it was.
But he was there.
But he wasn't.
My number 2 is Stone Cold. If we're talking about drawing power, there's not many that can truly compete with Stone Cold.
This is interesting because Stone Cold has not been mentioned yet, so I can only assume that he's in everyone's top 3.
Or not at all.
Or not at all, but I would be surprised.
Really, man.
This man could work the crowd.
Spoilers.
He could work the crowd with one word and his middle finger. Stone Cold consistently gets the best reactions out of anybody, past or present, when he shows up. Nobody's getting a bigger pop than when Stone Cold's glass shatters. If that doesn't scream greatest of all time, I don't really know what does. 6-time world champion, Intercontinental champion, tag champion, King of the Ring winner, 3-time Royal Rumble winner, in the Hall of Fame. He's got a long sheet of accomplishments as well to back it up.
Number 1.
My number 1, speaking of him not being appreciated in his time, is Chris Jericho.
Nice. Big up.
I agree, but I just was scared to put him as number 1.
Well,
Big up.
he was number 1 on my personal top 10 list, and that's not changed. My personal feelings match up with his
The
accolades.
criteria.
Simply put, he's the greatest of all time. Excellent in-ring skills, displayed a wealth of knowledge of lots of styles, and can do it all. If you want power, he's got a triple power one. If you want high flying, he's got the Lion Soul. If you want technical ability, he's got 1,004 holds he can show you. He's stellar as a face or a heel. No one works the crowd like Jericho does. Even today, you only have to look at the Festival of Friendship, the stuff he did with Kevin Owens. When he returned in 2007, got one of the biggest pops of all time, working as a face. A year later, working with Shawn Michaels and CM Punk, he was one of the most despised men on the roster.
It's the music though, when it hits.
Absolutely, and it's all part of the package with him. If he came out to silence, he'd still get a huge reaction because it's Chris Jericho.
Even on his Raw debut, he gets the biggest reaction ever.
Absolutely, and it's just setting up what was to come, which was going to be a long and storied career, and he's killing it even today in New
He's
Japan.
so fucking underappreciated. It winds me up.
Alex, what is he?
So over.
Hey.
Yeah, 6-time world champion, 10-time IC champion, which is a record. That includes his IWGP championship. 2-time US champion, 5-time tag champion, and is number 1 in my heart forever.
I still don't think he's been given enough, you know.
I agree.
Like accolade wise, I don't think he's been given enough.
He's going to be top bill in his Hall of Fame class one day. That goes without saying.
Without a doubt. Candy.
Yes.
Top 3, please.
Number 3 as Shawn Michaels. Like 4-time world champion. You'd expect Shawn Michaels to have more. Not only a 4-time champion.
He did fuck off for 5
He
years.
did,
though.
yeah. Main evented WrestleMania 5 times, and we talk about longevity again. He went from like 80s, early 90s, part of the Rockers, one of the most over tag teams, to leader of DX, to then piss off for 5 years, and then come back and have probably the best run of his entire career in the 2000s.
I would agree with that.
That's what I remember most of Shawn Michaels, the 2000s. Go back and watch any of his 90s stuff with Brett and not so much Diesel. But go back and watch the 2000s stuff with Triple H, Undertaker, Cena. It's like, there's no doubt that he is one of, if not the best in the ring. People kind of don't count his promos, and he's not a great promo. He can cut a good one now and again. But in terms of in-ring, probably no one better. Numero dos. Number 2, if you don't know Spanish, is Ric Flair. 16-time champ. Main evented Starrcade 10 times, which is quite impressive. Appears in fantastic music videos.
Very true.
And again, he has like a legacy that non-wrestling fans know who Ric Flair is.
Yeah.
And I think to branch out of the wrestling business into just media generally is something big. And number 1, Stone Cold Steve Austin.
Nice.
6-time world champ, the face of the Attitude Era, which is looked back on fondly, let's say. It's brought up every now and again. Main evented 3 WrestleManias, only 3-time winner of the Royal Rumble, one of, if not the biggest merch seller in history, and Vince McMahon himself has said that he is the biggest star in WWE history.
Well, there you go. What more accolade do you need? Fair play. Alex, your top 3, por favor.
Sir. Number
That's
3.
please, if you don't know Spanish.
I knew that. Number 3, I've got Ric Flair.
Okay.
Again, speaks for itself. I'm not going to repeat things because I have a bed to go to.
Whamming daughter.
Number 2, right, now you asked me to go on these 4 boxes and I'm going to tick these 4 boxes, right, and I think with number 2 I'm ticking 3.75 out of the 4 boxes, right. So The Undertaker, right, I'm very surprised that he's so low on everybody else's list. No one has got charisma like The Undertaker. No one's got character like The Undertaker. His drawing ability,
Yeah.
fucking amazing. What else do you watch WrestleMania for? To fucking watch Undertaker win. That's why it was so big when Brock Lesnar won. Fuck off Roman Reigns. But yeah, you know what I mean, right? Accolades. He had the streak. He didn't need all the titles. He had the streak. He was great as the Dead Man and great as American Badass. That's all I have to say. Right, now number 1.
Number 1.
This number 1 ticks 4 of the 4 boxes. All 4 boxes. Tick, 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 tick. Right? John Cena.
Okay.
Excellent on the mic. You'll never get anyone cutting a better promo than John Cena. Never.
Ooh.
You
Right,
were.
no, I agree with
You
that.
were. You will never get anyone cutting a better promo than John Cena. He can constantly put over his talent. He has been despite the marks booing him today, he has been the biggest face of the WWE for as long as I've been watching it. I didn't start watching it until I was about 6, maybe even 7. So he has been, from when I was little and I started watching it week in, week out, he was the biggest draw. He was the lad, he was the man whose merch I wanted. Everyone had John Cena merch. Everyone dressed up as John Cena on Well Book Day, all the kids. Wrestling is still a kids thing. We're adults that watch wrestling. That's what we need to remember. We are adults that sit and watch people play fight, right? He is the best at play fighting.
What's John Cena got to do with books?
I don't know. Everyone.
He's been in the programmes.
I just remember everybody dressing up as him on Well Book Day in year 6.
Okay.
I remember, right? So, and then people dress up as him for Halloween. It is nearly the 1st of October. We do have people dressing up as him for
Time of
Halloween.
recording. This goes out
Yeah.
mid-October.
And then
November
accolades, we've already discussed how many times he's won, apart from the IC. He's
Yeah, no,
yeah,
yeah.
he is.
fair play.
He's ticked all 4 boxes. You asked me to pick them 4 boxes.
I did.
He isn't my number 1 personally,
No,
but he has ticked them 4 boxes. 4 out of 4.
fair play.
Full marks, A+.
Full a few good ones.
Got a first in his exams.
He
Well done,
did.
John Cena.
He did indeed do that loud noises that are covering the fact that Candy's getting the cookie out.
Cough, cough, cough.
Cough, 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 cough.
Cough, cough, cough.
Cough,
cough, pass me one.
cough, cough.
Willow, your top 3, please, good sir.
This is quite hard for me to put these. These are all for me personally, like
Okay.
equal, like number 1. But
Okay.
obviously you've got to pick
Yeah.
My number 3, gonna have to go with Hulk Hogan.
Okay.
The only reason he's not higher is because of recent
Yes.
developments.
That's why you want on man at all.
But it has
That's an official wrestling podcast, though.
Go and watch it.
We haven't done one for a while. Should do one.
but as a wrestler, you can't touch Hulkamania. He was the face of wrestling and is still very much associated with wrestling. So yeah, there's not much more I need to say about Hulk Hogan. Number 2, I'm gonna go with Ric Flair.
Okay.
He hasn't really, done anything that anyone could possibly not do. That was a very convoluted way of saying he's done everything. He's just,
he's
great.
He's Ric Flair.
My number 1 will be Bruno Sammartino.
Yeah.
I'm going to go back to what Alex was saying about John Cena, and I'm going to take everything that she's just said and replace the words John Cena with Bruno Sammartino. Apart from the fact of when I was 6, because obviously I'm not like 57
And no
years
one
old.
dressed up as Bruno, but no.
well, not that you know of. They may well have
They
done.
might have done back in the day.
But for his time, he did everything that John Cena has done now. He obviously held the fucking championship for 11 years. You don't not be the best in the world and not hold that for 11 years. You don't not be over. You don't not fucking be good at wrestling, at charisma, at everything, and not hold it. And even though, I didn't grow up with him, obviously I've gone back and seen it. And like that to me epitomises like what I've seen of him as the best in the world.
Okay.
In terms of Madison Square Garden sellouts, he is second to only one man, Billy Joel.
How many's Billy Joel done?
Oh, fuckloads.
Oh,
He doesn't tour. He lives in New York, and he's like, I'm only playing in New York.
He does.
At the
He
Garden.
does like a show.
He
like
does,
every
he's doing
month or
one in
something.
Wembley. That's it. That's the extent of his international tour.
Do you know when we do the ultimate top 10? Are we turning it off and are we arguing on the podcast?
Argue on the podcast.
Okay.
Right. Just my top 3 to go. In at number 3 is Hulk Hogan. These are going to be really quick because we've all covered this, but was the reason that wrestling is as popular as it is, without a doubt. In at number 2, Stone Cold. There's not much more to be said that's already been said. And in at number 1 is Ric Flair. I just don't think that you can discount how unbelievably good he was, and to achieve what he has achieved when he did. I know Cena's now matched his reign of 16 world titles, but I mean, I just think he's the best of what he did. So,
No one mentioned Chris Benoit. Weird.
What a shock.
So
mentioned who?
and so until next time, when we all get back together to decide the definitive top 10, it'll be the very next
This
episode.
is the first ever 2-part.
It is
A few
the
good
first
marks.
ever 2-parter of A Few Good Marks. It's episode
Look
50.
forward to crowning Chris Jericho at the top of the top 10 of all time.
We shall wait and see. Anyway, folks, thank you for listening in. What are your top 10s? You tell us your opinions if you're actually listening.
Which you are.
Which of course you are, because it's A Few Good Marks. But do not forget to like, comment and subscribe on YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and also go and check out our blogger account for all new articles updated whenever we feel like
At
posting.
the time of recording, the most recent one is about kayfabe in the modern era, written by yours truly.
Indeed.
Check it out.
Do it. Give us all the views. And folks, so until next time, we will try and get the second part to this episode out as quickly as possible. But until we decide our definitive top 10s, we will bid you adieu. See you later. Bye-bye. Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Fuck you.